Welcome back to the channel. You guys saw what's up. Trade deadline's over, but the biggest blockbuster trade we've all been looking for finally happened. We got James Harden headed to Philly and Ben Simmons, that man is headed to Brooklyn. Everybody's been looking for this trade to happen. When Woj dropped the bomb, social media broke, Twitter, everybody was happy for it. Everybody wanted to see it, but we finally got it. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Let's get right into the video. So look, we all know what happened, the big details, the big guys moved. James Harden is now in Philly, in Brooklyn Nets. They picked up that boy Ben Simmons. But I want to talk about the nitty gritty details, of course, in the trade package. So of course, the Brooklyn Nets went ahead and sent James Harden and Paul Millsap to the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Sixers sent over Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. Now, from looking at this trade, let's look at it from the Sixers side. When I told y'all a week ago in my last video, my last offbeat video that you got to go check out, I told you the GM, Daryl Morey is going to go get his guy. Now, I didn't think it was going to be before the trade deadline, but man, he went ahead and pulled the trigger. And he pulled the trigger, got James Harden, and he adds him to his already MVP candidate player in Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid and James Harden, one of the better duos now in the league, one of the guys who can get you from the post, one of the guys that can play make. Joel Embiid now has a guy that offensively is almost as good as him. And you could say James Harden is better than Joel. I'm not debating it. I ain't gonna debate that with y'all. But he has a running mate that is good as he can be offensively. And on top of doing that, this man, Daryl Morey, was able to keep Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle. Tyrese Maxey, who last year was averaging 8 points, now averaging 16 points per game. And you added Matisse Thybulle, who's still on the team, one of the better elite defenders in the game right now. I think it's a dub. You keep Tobias Harris as well, one of the guys who, if he does play well, he might be with James Harden, he might play better. But if you feel like you want to move Tobias Harris, you can do that. You still keep some of the guys on your team. You only gave up Seth Curry, and I think that's one of the bigger moves because he's such a great shooter. But man, Daryl Morey did what he had to do. He went ahead, and I told y'all beforehand, he's going to make a trade to go ahead and win a championship. And I think that the Sixers, now in the Eastern Conference, one of the top teams when they didn't even have Ben Simmons, now picked up a guy in James Harden. They're a good team, man. They're one of the favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference, and I think you have to respect this team and what they did. But let's look at the Brooklyn Nets, because when I saw the Brooklyn Nets trade, I was like, you know what? This isn't really a good trade. They were forced to do it. But then I had to sit back and look, and low-key, the Brooklyn Nets, they might have came up too. So when you look at it, Ben Simmons is not on the team. And I know Ben Simmons, we love making fun of the guy. I feel it. Hey, look, the jokes from last year in the playoffs, they still hit. But I think that when you look at what Ben Simmons adds to a team, his defensive prowess, his ability to guard 1 through 5, talk about a guy who can play make in transition. And now that you add in a guy in Seth Curry, who's one of the better 3-point shooters in the game, you have Andre Drummond, who I think Andre Drummond is going to be off the books next year, but he's a guy that you can rely in the low post and to at least alter shots. He's not an elite defender, elite shot blocker like Rudy Gobert, but Andre Drummond can be formidable in that standpoint. And when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, when they lost Jared Allen, they ain't really had nobody. And I think that now that you add Andre Drummond, who you might be able to re-sign, who knows what they do with Andre Drummond, he could be all right in that situation. But on top of that, you get 2 first-round picks, who the protections aren't really that strong, and you can definitely make some more moves with those 2 first-round picks. Did I mention they got KD? KD's still on the team too, by the way. I don't know if y'all knew that. And they have Kyrie, who's a part-time player. But when you look at the entire roster, Ben Simmons surrounded by shooting, Joe Harris might come back, and you have KD and Kyrie who can play off ball with Ben Simmons. Hey, it's a match made in heaven for Ben Simmons. And I think that with the right setting and with everybody healthy, this team is going to be most certainly dangerous going forward, especially going into the future. This year, they may not be as great because of the fact that KD's injured and we don't know when Ben Simmons is going to be back. And of course, Kyrie Irving with his part-time player shit, we know. Look, we don't know when he's going to be back. This team may not be one of the favorites to win right now, but in the future, they're definitely primed to make a lot of threats and be a team that can be a threat in the future. But when I look back at the Nets, it makes so much more, it's put so much more pressure on Kyrie Irving. Because when I look at it, take away the political aspect of it and the vaccinations and the mandates, Kyrie Irving has to play. And I think a lot of people don't realize that if Kyrie was playing, the pressure of James Harden leaving the Brooklyn Nets probably wouldn't be as strong, and he probably would be here right now in the Brooklyn Nets. But Kyrie has to play. The ability to have this team and have a guy in Ben Simmons, add the shooting, add some picks as well, add Andre Drummond. The team was able to come up even though James Harden was probably going to leave in the offseason, and they were able to somehow take a dub in this situation. Now, if Kyrie's able to play with this team when KD gets back, it's a problem. This team is very, very deep. Now, the coaching with Steve Nash, I don't know if he's that guy, but we'll see. But this team is going to be very, very good. And I think that you just have to realize Kyrie's got to be there. You can't, Nets fans are really going to say that Harden quit on them, and I feel like you can say that, but Kyrie's got to be available. Simple as that. I don't know how it's going to happen, but he has to be available. And back onto James Harden, people have said that he's quit on his team. It's not a good look. I will say that I'm not a person who really wants to hate on James Harden, but when you look at the past year, this is the second team he's left after wanting to be on that team. Now you look at the fact that he wanted to go to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn traded basically all their assets. They traded Karis LeVert, they traded Jared Allen, who's a fringe all-star right now, and they traded their entire draft capital to Houston for James Harden. And within 1 year, he's gone. You talk about the fact that now he's traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. He's gone. And on top of that, it's just the fact that James Harden, I understand, you got to understand this too as well. Even though he did ask for these trades, I understand it. Because when you look at the fact that Kyrie's not even available, KD's not even healthy, he had to take the back seat. James Harden took the back seat last year. And he was one of the few guys where he didn't even get an all-star, he didn't get an all-NBA appearance. And he's one of the few guards who can play, make, and do so much on the offensive end. It really wasn't respected. And he wasn't healthy in the beginning of the year. I understand that, but James Harden is still a talented player, and he took the backseat. And he didn't come to Brooklyn to not win championships. Kyrie and KD have won championships. He hasn't. So him going to Philadelphia, I understand it. It does look like a bad look, but we can't sit up here and act like James Harden didn't have a reason to do so. And that's why when I look at this entire trade, everybody involved in it, the one guy who has the most pressure is James Harden. He has to win in Philadelphia. When we talked about him going to Brooklyn and winning a championship, we knew he had to win a championship because of what they gave up. But what happened now, again going to Philadelphia, after leaving Brooklyn and then after leaving Houston, there's no shot. He has to win a championship. He has the most pressure. When it's time for the postseason to happen, he's got to play his best basketball. Because if he underperforms, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a very, very bad look. You thought Philadelphia fans were mad before. I don't even want to think about it. But I think that in this situation, the Sixers, James Harden was able to also opt into his player option, so he's going to be on the Sixers for at least 2 years. They have their guys. They have a great core. Now it's just building out the entire roster and going for a championship. They have the talent, and I think that James Harden, he has the most pressure, but he's got to live up to it. So when I look at the entire trade in totality, this is really a dub for both teams. I think that if I was to grade it, actually, I have a video dropping tomorrow where I'm talking about the winners and losers of the trade deadline, and I'll give you my exact grade for this trade. So definitely turn your post notification bell on so you don't miss that video. But I will say that both teams came up. You look at the fact that the Sixers got their guy. They kept a lot of their young guys. They kept most of their core. They gave up 2 picks, not too much, but they have a duo that is going to be formidable, and they have them for at least 2 years, and they have enough pieces to where they can make some more moves, and they're one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference right now. I think offensively with Joel Embiid and James Harden, it's going to be very, very tough as long as they're healthy, and I think that they have a lot of guys on their team that can help them as well as long as Daryl Morey adds them some more pieces. I like what they did. They did what they had to do. They got their guy. And you look at the Brooklyn side, they were going to lose James Harden for nothing, and they were able to go ahead and add in Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, 2 picks. And as much as they may not be in a position to win right now, because at the end of the day, Kyrie's not playing, KD's hurt, we don't know Ben Simmons is going to be back. They have stuff to where they can go in the future, in the offseason, they can make some moves. So going forward, they have a lot of potential to be a team that's going to be a threat again. And I think that they did come up. This is when they're healthy, this roster, if they were to play on the court right now, this team arguably would be in the finals. I don't know. They're one of those teams. They're a top team right now, but I like it. I like the fact that they're able to at least get something for James Harden. So both teams came up. The only way for me to really give a grade, when do they play? I mean, if they meet in the conference finals, that might be crazy. I ain't gonna lie. That's gonna be a crazy conference finals if they were to meet, but who knows? But I'm gonna wrap it up on this, man. It was exciting to see the trade happen. What do y'all think though? Like I think every YouTuber says this before. Like, what do y'all think? But I really want to see what y'all think. Do y'all think that this trade was a dub? Was it an L? Do you think that the Sixers gave up too much? Do you think that the Nets didn't get enough? Do you think that Simmons and Harden, who has more pressure? I want to see what you guys think in the comment section. But y'all let me know, man. Besides all that, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and definitely, hey man, turn that post notification bell on so you don't miss a video, because I'm trying to post daily. You feel me? But until next time, to all you guys, stay on beat.